It's the Security Weekly News. It's episode 465. And it's Friday, the 4th of April. So cool. We got AI Doomsday, hot robots, Google, Palo Alto, Ivanti, CrushFTP, AI, Aaran Leyland, and more on this edition of the Security Weekly News.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
It's the show that keeps you up to date on the latest security news twice a week. Your trusted source for accurate security information and expert analysis. It's time for the Security Weekly News. Imagine a world where every threat, ransomware, supply chain attacks, zero-day exploits, is stopped before it can even begin. ThreatLocker makes that world a reality with a zero-trust approach to cybersecurity. By giving you granular control on every executable that can happen in your environment, ThreatLocker protects your business around the clock. No more guessing, no more gaps, just rock-solid protection that keeps your operations running smoothly and your data secure. Discover how ThreatLocker's least privilege approach can safeguard your organization against known and unknown threats. Take the first step toward total peace of mind. Visit securityweekly.com/ThreatLocker today. All right, from the island of Elba, it's the Security Weekly News. I'm Doug White. Hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment, or we're all coming to live with you. No, I'm serious. I can't afford rent anymore. And you know, I mean, I do you have something with like a hot tub at an open bar? I mean, that would be nice, right? And you have a bartender, right? I mean, you know, I'm not just going to mooch off anyone. Well, I mean, what am I, like a medieval peasant? Google is rolling out end-to-end encryption for Gmail enterprise users. You would have thought they might have done that before, but they hadn't. You can currently set this up, and you may have already, to use like Secure MIME or SMIME, as most people call it. But you know, setting up SMIME is you've got to deploy certs. You have to send them in both directions. You have to make sure all the certs are installed all over the place and so forth. And there's other issues with that. But this new model says that business users will be able to send fully encrypted emails to any user on any email service or platform without any prior preparation. So I guess they're using hybrid key encryption or something for these cert exchanges. So this did start rolling out today, I think. It was either today or yesterday, but it's in beta. And it allows you to send emails within your own enterprise that are completely encrypted end to end. And they said they will expand this to all Gmail inboxes later. And then later this year, it will become the ability to encrypt all email end to end with any email inbox. Enterprise. I don't think this is going to be available in the free end user version. Now, to use this, the user does have to enable an option called additional encryption before they send mail. I didn't know if it requires you to be using a Gmail client or a web browser client or what. It didn't really say. If you're using it with Thunderbird or something, or Outlook or something else, I'm not sure how that's going to work. But remember how hard it used to be to send encrypted email? I remember I was involved in this contract negotiation, and they wanted me to set up encrypted email. And I remember using PGP and sharing the keys with all this. I had to go to all the systems and put all that on there. And then we were sending emails over Mixmaster just to disguise the IP addresses because the guy was really paranoid. But this definitely sounds like an improvement for Gmail, at least for enterprise users, I guess. I'm not one, so I don't know. Palo Alto Global Protect login portals have seen a large spike in scanning. Gray Noise said this may be a prelude to a large-scale attack or a new flaw emerging and being exploited based on past behavior. The scanning activity involved over 24,000 unique source IP addresses and peaked out at around 20,000 IP addresses per day being used on the 17th of March. And they said that rate continued until the 26th of March. Now, 23,800 of those IP addresses were classified as suspicious, whatever that means. I guess they were, acting funny, loitering and stuff. But 154 of those were validated by Gray Noise as malicious. So I presume this is just an entire compromised space. I mean, it sounds like they feel in the article that there's some big coming attack that looks like Arcane Door, which was a big attack last year like this. And and Arcane Door, of course, was targeting edge devices as well. Gray Noise recommended currently reviewing your logs since mid-March to see if you've been targeted, hunt for any signs of compromise, harden login portals, and lock out known malicious IPs. Of course, obviously, you should run the newest Pan OS if you're not already. And this is, of course, all good advice for any edge device, anytime, anywhere, as far as I'm concerned. Although you couldn't run Pan OS on Cisco or something, but you should run the latest iOS. So it's always tough to update the edge devices. You know, they're in service all the time, and trying to do a firmware update or something on them is a bit of a challenge, but probably need to at this point. Mandiant warned that previously unknown remote code execution vulnerabilities in Ivanti Connect Secure VPN platform, another edge device, is being actively exploited in the wild by Chinese state-backed attackers. The vulnerability allows the attacker to completely control the appliance, which allows this to be used, of course, for further attacks since it's typically a trusted device in your network. There is a patch available for the Ivanti device, and admins are being encouraged to update their firmware as soon as possible. They should probably be encouraged pretty harshly at this point. Mandiant has posted indicators of compromise for the device and Yara rules. So if you're wanting to check your systems to see if you may have been compromised in this already, the attacks are being attributed to a state-backed group called UNC 5221. I guess they don't have a cool / creepy name yet. I'm going to call him Drooling Kitty because that was what my cat was doing at the time. Some cats drool, not all of them. Just some cats, when you pet them, they just drool like crazy. I don't know why. I think it's just that cat imagining themselves eating your liver. Yeah, but anyway, Mandiant said the bug was previously known, and it was a buffer overflow that was patched back in February. But a lot of people ignored it because when the patch came out, it was basically stated that it could not really be used to do very much, and you couldn't execute arbitrary code because they believed that the limitation on how many characters you could fit into the buffer overflow was too limited. But it turns out that's not true. This attack group is using new in-memory malware dropper called Trailblaze and a backdoor called Brushfire. Okay, with those names, I'm going to name the group Jellystone. I mean, why don't they hire me to name all these attackers? I could do it. I could do this all day. I could make up names. It would be great. Call me. But regardless of whoever's going to hire me to create funny names for hacking group, this is very bad. If you can buffer overflow for remote code execution, that's really, really dangerous. So patch up your Connect Secure today, or someone may take your picnic basket. Anybody remember that? Yogi and Boo Boo, Ranger Smith, classic. Hanna-Barbera, old. Yeah, I think it was Hanna-Barbera. I'm pretty sure. I scream, you scream, we all scream when the AI dogs come hunting us in the alleys. Yeah. Wait, where was I? Okay. Anyway, so everybody's always looking for the latest AI. And the fishing crews know this as well, right? So when a story comes out about a new AI or some kind of event with an AI, everybody goes looking for the AI. Kaspersky said that an attack campaign, which is using DeepSeek along with AutoCAD, UltraViewer, and other business apps, was spreading 3 different backdoor Trojans. One of the malware strains is called TookPS and was found back in March being spread by fake DeepSeek pages. So the DeepSeek pages gained exposure through posts on X and had about 1.2 million views. Is there anything still on X except phishing, fake hair plug ads, and Nazi propaganda? I don't know. We shouldn't go there. But I haven't been on X in a long time, so I don't really know. It's probably all cleaned up and lovely now. It beats me. But other pages in this campaign were offering free versions of UltraViewer and AutoCAD as well as SketchUp, but really just installed the TookPS loader. I mean, TookPS, if you're not familiar with it, retrieves malicious PowerShell scripts from the command and control server, and then basically, they can do whatever they want. So they were also providing free Ableton. Yeah, Ableton's expensive. And if you don't know what Ableton is, it's like a production software that controls all your lights and video and music and all this stuff when you do stage shows. It's used for professionals, for like professional concerts and things like that, and also for Quicken, which is financial software. But I mean, basically, why not? I mean, you're making fake pages. You can put anything on there. You want a free copy of Antares Harmonizer? I mean, right here, click away and you'll be auto-tuned and singing in no time for free. The attacker has also used Heavy Rat and Lapmon as mechanisms for infecting people. So look, let your people know about wares. I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about phishing and anti-phishing and so on, but wares is another type of phishing and it's illegal. You probably don't want people in your organization downloading free software anyway, as it's unlicensed, it may be illegal, it get you in all kinds of trouble. But eventually everybody goes looking for a free copy of something. A game, a piece of ridiculously expensive software, a Clone Centaur. I mean, Clone Centaurs cost like $25,000, and when you see some guy selling a Clone, it's a guitar pedal if you don't know what it is. Some guy selling a Clone Centaur for 25 bucks out of the trunk of a Buick Regal on Amsterdam Avenue. Yeah, it's probably real, right? Yeah, you bet. But wares, you really do need to warn them. I mean, I tried downloading one time every copy I could find of Atari's harmonizer that it said it was cracked on a sandbox machine, and every single one, and I downloaded a bunch of them. All of them had malware, and it was really, intriguing. It was everything from Russian to Chinese to Korean, English, French, and all of it had malware in it. So be careful. That Rolex you bought outside the Port Authority for 50 bucks. It seems like it might say Rolex if you don't squint too much. Yeah, but I mean, that's the same skills you need to be teaching your people about this kind of stuff, because a lot of times people don't think about that. They just think, I need this. I'm going to click on it and download it. And guess what? You're going to get hit. I'm not going to do politics. Okay. I promise. I'm not. I always want to, but I don't, because that's not the purpose of the show. And I don't want guys in masks dragging me off to an El Salvadorian gulag, although it may happen anyway, but probably not for political reasons. But so this isn't politics. And now, if you haven't heard, the U.S. Secretary of Defense was using the Signal app to discuss all sorts of military stuff with his buddies, the vice president, a whole bunch of high level people, and they accidentally added a reporter to the chat from the Atlantic magazine who did what reporters do and reported. Now, this caused a great stir or not, depending on which side of the political debate you're on. So, no politics. But my point is, and the reason I put this story up was it's probably not a bad time for you to review your policies on the use of third-party chats, emails, what have you, and proprietary conversations that people are having via instant messages, texts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you don't have to be discussing Uber, MK Ultra top secret plans to lose proprietary data and or, important data from your organization. And I see this a lot. People that start conversations on company equipment and go, "Hey, just hit me up on Slack and we can see the files." And I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it's really easy to, just like people that hit reply all on an email and send, some personal information or employee information. We saw one where somebody hit reply all and sent a list of all the salaries and bonuses that have been given out that year in the company. And of course, it caused a great stir because everybody in the whole company got it. I've had, students hit reply all and include me on something where they were basically slamming me for something or other and talking about what a bastard I was. That's fine. But it is really easy to get people involved in this and lose critical information. And that's really not what you want to do. So I don't know anything worth spilling, but if I have a meeting and I accidentally include a third party and discuss a student's grades, that's a FERPA violation. So in light of this, politics notwithstanding, it's a good idea to review and see what's going on with your operation before someone shares a secret recipe with a reporter from Bon Appetit. And now everybody can make Kentucky Fried Chicken at home. Note, the secret is lard. I'm not kidding. That's why it doesn't taste the way it used to. You have to fry it in lard and die before you turn 50 for it to taste right. I mean, everything's better with lard, of course, except that coronary you get from lard and smoking unfiltered cigarettes and drinking 3 martinis for lunch every day. Of course, my dad lived to be 89 years old, and he came from that era, but a lot of other people didn't. I think I'll go fry some beignets in lard like my mother used to make. Why can't I? Why can't I feel my left arm? Yeah. Okay. CrushFTP is an enterprise file transfer solution, and they had informed customers on the 21st of March that versions 10 and 11 have a major problem that will allow remote compromise. The attacker can use a flaw to bypass authentication and gain administrative access to the CrushFTP instance. That's bad. Now, the real point of the story, this is older news, but the point of the story was that after this was revealed, patches were included and made available and so forth. VulnCheck, which is a CNA, and they are a CVE issuing authority, basically decided to issue a CVE number to this 5 days after the disclosure because they said no one else had done so. So they went ahead and assigned a CVE number to it. Yeah. And they had the authority to do this because he said if no other CNA had issued a CVE, EIEIO. Now, CrushFTP said that this was wrong since a CVE was pending by Outpost 24, who was a security firm who was responsible for disclosing the flaw to the vendor. Outpost 24 said that they had reached out to MITRE to get a CVE number on the 13th of March, but to keep the details secret for 90 days so that they wouldn't allow exploitation. MITRE did assign a CVE on the 27th of March, but the VulnCheck number was already in use. So it sounds like maybe the point of this is we need a better way to assign CVE numbers. I mean, like, seriously, maybe we need better policies on this because it sounds like everybody's right here, which sounds like all kinds of crazy bureaucracy stuff. It's like, no, I have the right to do this if you don't do it. And somebody revealed it and then it was released and, oh yeah, the MITRE was going to assign it, but that was going to be much later. And then we assigned one anyway. And now you don't want our number, but everybody's using our number already. And now you can't use your number. And now it's all, everybody's in a slap fight in a parking lot somewhere arguing about whose number gets used. Anyway, there were about 1,800 vulnerable instances of CrushFTP when this was disclosed. And as of the 2nd of April, there are still more than 500 vulnerable instances of CrushFTP in the US alone. So I don't care who issued the damn CVE number. Patch this before somebody takes you out, okay? I mean, meanwhile, rival gangs from Open24, MITRE, VulnCheck have all gone to the mattresses and are hunting each other down in the streets. Well, maybe if it was written by Alan Moore, but it would be a lot more interesting that way, right? Okay. I think we're going to attain some of the 50s sci-fi stuff while I'm still alive. Well, maybe. Depends on how much of that lard comes back to haunt me. I mean, I'm not sure we're going to get to the Ash / Bishop / Deckard / Rachel / Ava / Samantha level of stuff, maybe. But we've got some sort of pseudo flying cars and we've got AI. But we may get to something like Wall-E or C-3PO. I don't know. But don't make them too smart or they'll turn on us. I mean, see Blade Runner if you want more information on how that works. But they're already selling AI-enabled butlers. I don't know if they're actually selling them yet, but they're selling, we've got housekeeping robots. We've got all kinds of stuff, companions. I saw this AI-enabled cat the other day that was supposed to keep people with dementia happy. I don't know if that would make anybody happy or not, but it would probably keep a live cat from being subjected to that. Maybe Rosie from the Jetsons, yeah. I mean, like a housekeeper. But this startup called 1X is trying to put out their robot called Neo in more than 100 homes before the end of the year. They said that's what they said. And you didn't call me yet. I'm willing. Send me one. I'll put it on the air. I'll show it to you. But investments in this area topped 1.6 billion just last year, and more than $7.2 billion has been spent since 2015. So if a robot butler could clean up cat barf, shovel the walk, and make me a proper martini, I'm in. Send me one over. Of course, I think there's issues here if you make them too smart, and most likely the whole thing will end up being driven by the sex bot industry or something like that, because that always seems to drive everything, right? I mean, if the porn bot 69,000 is what the sex industry chooses as a standard, well, we'll all have butlers that can party or not. Or they might shove us into a wood chipper while gyrating frantically to disco music. I may be thinking about Bender from Futurama, but and you could get there. Can you imagine the social engineering attacks on robo butlers by robo door-to-door salespeople to get them and allow them inside? It's like, it's so hot out here, honey. My crystals are fried. Can I trouble you for a small glass of cooling fluid on the veranda? Oh, that's the first scene of my robo porn movie, Emmanuel 0x45. Check it out at theaters everywhere soon. Well, speaking of porn stars, you want a sequel to Aaran Leyland's erotic adventures in Thailand. Hi, Aaron.
Hey, Doug, I've only got 600 words this week, so we could have a chat.
Oh, okay.
Although I do have some stories that I looked at, just literally what my algorithm threw me up while we were waiting, because this is all about AI today. And yeah, I had I had to cut them down to what was good for the viewers and nothing about Thailand. Literally, Gemini breaking news. It's been 2 days since Google released Gemini Pro, the best AI coding model. People can now code, write, and build, and it's like screaming about it being awesome. They're also screaming about GPT 4.5 passes the Turing test with a 75% win rate, but that's while using it pretending to be someone else. When you drop down to 4 in that really drops. But there was also Monzo's co-founder, Bloomfield, predicts AI will wipe out software engineering jobs. And I agree, but this one's kind of cool. Shoesmiths link staff bonus to use artificial intelligence, and they've put a 1 million bonus pot for staff in this new financial year. And they've said something about like, if people hit 1 million prompts that are a whole load of prompts, they're going to get a share of that 1 million pot. How cool is that? AI's taking over the world. But yeah, okay, back into the story. How AI will divide the best from the rest. So optimists hope the technology will be a great equalizer. Instead, it looks to widen social divides. Go figure, right? So at a recent Paris summit, tech leaders didn't hold back on bold AI predictions. So some more predictions. AI will be the most profound shift in our lifetime, says Sundar, the CEO of Alphabet. Dario from Anthropic described it as the largest change to the global labor market in human history. Sam Altman of OpenAI, no shit, envisioned a future where in a decade, perhaps everyone on Earth will be capable of accomplishing more than the most impactful person can today. Okay, right. The idea that AI could level the playing field was once held weight. Tools like LLMs, large language models, were seen as enablers for low-skilled workers. So Jensen from NVIDIA, he once imagined a world where workers are all going to be CEOs of AI agents. I'm sure he's on drugs, but he's super smart, so maybe he is. Okay, but that vision is fading. Honestly, I personally believe the timeframes being discussed underestimate the speed and the severity of the disruption that AI is going to bring, right? So I think initial research for that was optimistic on the low-level skill workers, but what we have to look at is the high level. So a 2023 study by Stanford and MIT showed generative AI boosted productivity by 34% for novice customer support agents. Weaker writers then improved significantly using ChatGPT. Also, legal AI tools helped less talented students draft better contracts. So, at first glance, AI appeared to democratize competence, but newer evidence shows a widening gap. Complex tasks like scientific research, management, investing only reward those with strong judgment and domain expertise. So the best are leveraging AI to amplify impact while all the others are falling behind. So it talks about material science. Aidan Toner Rogers and MIT found that AI nearly doubled the productivity, doubled for top researchers, but had no measurable effect on the bottom third. And also stronger entrepreneurs in Kenya used AI to boost profits by over 15%, while weaker actually saw declines. Similarly, sophisticated investors used AI. They earned nearly 10% more, while less experienced barely improved. So it's not just about capability, it's about judgment. It's about the person behind the AI. What I always say, AI is not going to take your job. Someone using AI effectively is. So high performers filter AI outputs, they contextualize recommendations, and of course use them creatively. The rest often follow generic advice or misinterpret results. The amount of times you get an email and you can tell it was started by AI and ended by AI, best regards and all that sort of stuff. But so while it may temporarily raise productivity for lower skilled workers, the longer term trajectory is obviously clear. It's commoditization and automation. ServiceNow's Amit Zaveri says that already 85% of customer service cases for some clients no longer require human input. How many jobs are gone? AI just doesn't assist, it replaces. Obviously, like self-checkouts diminish cashiers' skills and wages, AI is doing the same to other roles, even creative roles. Well, we're all seeing all the creative stuff and all the stuff that comes with that, right? At A&O Sherman, AI tools now handle most of the contract analysis once done by junior associates. And one investment firm executive stated, and I totally live by this, it's like something I say all the time, the skill that is going to be rewarded most in the short run is imagination in finding creative ways to use AI. So we're told that history is repeating itself, just as the Industrial Revolution favored engineers over laborers and the computer age rewarded all-use coders over typists. AI gains will flow from us that are listening now, to those who strategically think and think creatively and adaptably. So make sure that's you, or honestly, you're going to end up on a universal wage. And I think that's going to be about $7 or something, like a week. Anyway, AI tools, as they become more autonomous, it may feel like everybody's running their own AI. Who said that? NVIDIA's boss, didn't he? But the thing is, the best will still be better CEOs, if we want to use that analogy, okay? We cybersecurity professionals should take note. These shifts won't just disrupt workforce roles. They will redefine trust models, decision-making layers, and the very nature of digital risk, which we care about. Honestly, the divide is coming fast, and I totally believe we're underestimating just how fast. Start using it. Learn it today. Please, please, please. Back to my CEO and MVP, Dr. Doug on an island somewhere.
Universal wage. Yeah, that's fine. I think they're bringing back indentured servitude in the United States. So, and not to mention debtor's prison is probably coming up pretty soon as well. But yeah, I completely agree with that. And another good example of that is web development. You know, when web design first came out, there was a huge demand for people that could write HTML code. And then, you know, as soon as everybody figured it out, only the people who were very creative and could design, you know, graphics and music and all kinds of elaborate talent became like web developers, and everybody else was making minimum wage if they were lucky. A lot of it was contract work where you're making $1 an hour because people kept calling me going, "Can you build me a website?" I'm like, not for what you're paying. But anyway, thank you, Aaron. Now, when you ask, this last story was about AI again. So when you ask AI companies, you know, of course, Rosie the robot's going to make your life easier, sexier, and more amusing. And of course. Now, so Pew Research was doing a study, and they had 1,013 AI experts. I guess these are people that are building AI. And they were asking them about how optimistic they were that AI was going to solve all your problems. And guess what? They loved it. They said, of course it will. It's going to be amazing. I mean, they said the same thing about cigarettes too. And you asked the tobacco companies, you know, like, yes, it's like great for your lungs. But they also asked 5,410 people, not experts, just people like, excuse me, ma'am, I see you just purchased a tub of chocolate peanut butter cheesecake chunk. What do you think about a sexy robot butler to serve it up to you? Well, the general public wasn't so excited. Only 11% of the respondents said that they were more excited than concerned about the increased use of AI in daily life. So maybe not robot butlers. I mean, I'll take one. A sexy robot butler, sign me up. But I mean, 24% of the public thought that AI would be good for them. But nearly half of the public respondents feel they will be personally harmed by AI. I'm not, you know, being chased through the fields by robot dogs kind of thing. Both sides felt that the U.S. government will not be effective at controlling AI either. Yeah, I think I'm on that page. But it's here whether we like it or not, right? I mean, 80% of the experts said that the general public probably use AI daily in some fashion, Whereas when they asked the public the same question, only 27% of them said they were using AI at all, because you don't know you're using it. Every time you hit a search engine now, you're using some kind of AI. I mean, all change is fraught with peril. I mean, it just is. The shift from the agricultural societies, from the hunter-gatherers to the industrial age, to the computer age, to the whatever, the information age, to the AI age, is always going to be, like Aaron was just saying. And I mean, and I wonder how I'm going to be able to compete with a robo host or a robo professor that can prepare a pâté en croûte while giving me a foot rub. It's going to be tough. And so, I think it's time for all of us to be considering, where do we fit into this new model? I was planning to retire, but after yesterday, I don't think so. That's not going to happen in my lifetime. Anyway, that's the news. Thanks, Aaron. And I will see you next time on the Security Weekly News.